what are some resources you can use to even search for a qualified, safe childcare candidate?
What you want to do first is you want to make a list of the ideal candidate that you want working in your home and with your children.
Mm-hmm.
You may not want someone in your home. You may want to take your child to someone else's home, which is called an in-home provider.
Mm-hmm.
Those provide quality care. You just have to find the one that fits your family style and your needs and your budget.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have an outline of what you need. Once you have an outline of what you need, you can go on social media platforms. There is multiple childcare platforms out if you just do a Google search.
Mm-hmm.
You purchase a membership and basically type up your ad of what you want, what your ideal person is, and you post it. You can solicit to childcare professionals who are advertising on the site, or you can just post it and it can be in a feed, like a rolling feed,
Mm-hmm.
and those childcare professionals can apply to you. You can also utilize things like Facebook.
I know there are a lot of mom groups out there.
There are a lot of mom groups on Facebook. There are a lot of childcare groups. There are even individualized groups, some in-home daycare groups, some au pair groups, some nanny groups. There are definitely groups for everything on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest suggestion to you would be err on the side of caution,
Mm-hmm.
post your ad, but when you get replies, speak to them in a professional manner as if you are a hiring agent at work. If you are in HR, ask the pertinent questions. See if they present themselves professionally to you. You want someone who is going to present themselves professionally, and you want to treat them as a professional, whether it is just a babysitter coming in for a date
Mm-hmm.
night or it is somebody who's going to be with you long term. Another aspect I would say is educate yourself on the industry and the differences in the industry and the budget differences in the industry.
Yeah, that's part of where I was going to lead to, is like, what are reasonable expectations? Like, I hear all kinds of stories about, what people are paying for childcare. So, like, what is the going rate for a babysitter versus a nanny versus a daycare? And what kinds of accreditations should you look for and qualifications? And, like, what's reasonable to look for and what's kind of over the top?
So what is reasonable to look for is every person who works with a child, whether they are in a daycare, a school setting, a date night babysitter, a nanny, an in-home daycare, whoever it is, every one of them should have CPR and first aid training, up to date, and valid certifications. If they don't, I would say no thank you until they do, and then you can revisit that person. That is just a liability and safety factor. Because
you're putting your child's health and safety in their hands.
Well, and accidents happen, emergencies happen.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that that person has the qualifications to at least perform the Heimlich correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And they constantly are changing procedures. So, at one point when children, like toddlers, were small, it was the hook method. You put your finger in their mouth to get whatever was out. Well, it's not that any longer. So if you're not up to date on your certifications and training, you wouldn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first and major thing you should do. As far as budgets go across the board. And if you are looking for a date night sitter, I'm going to tell you, pay them fairly so that they come back.
Right.
Especially if you like them and your kids like them.
Make it worth their while.
Make it worth their while, because if you're just offering somebody $20, nobody's coming to your house except for maybe the next door neighbor girl, and she's just going to do it maybe once or twice. $20 no longer is okay for an entire date night.
Mm-hmm.
Just at least give them $10 an hour. Something
That's
like that.
Fair.
That's a fair for a date
for
night.
like a teenager type of.
Yes, for like a high school teenager
Right.
just starting out that doesn't have a lot of in-depth experience and education in it.
What about like the next level of babysitter? Maybe someone who comes, you either take them to their house or your house.
So that would be, so if you're bringing your child to a person 3 blocks away. And they're watching them all day. They're providing meals. It's called an in-home provider. They normally charge a daily rate, which is very, very budget friendly. I have seen some from $30 to about $55 a day.
Okay.
And normally they have socialization with other children within the house. There are enrichment and education programs. You would be amazed at some of the in-home providers. They literally have redone like their basement or part of their house to look like a daycare and a classroom.
That's a hard no.